Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Here in this video, we are going to be going over your AMC earnings estimates from analysts heading into next week. But let's just be honest here. The numbers aren't going to move AMC. What information we get from Adam Aron will move AMC stock. So those things are what we're going to talk about here in this video. My expectations. I will also show you my trade on AMC and for AMC earnings and what's going on with that today. Because, yeah, we're a little bit in the red, even though AMC stock is actually starting to recover a little bit, at least at the time of recording this video. We're also going to go over briefly what's going on in our markets today and the data you need to know with AMC stock. But a vast majority of this video is again going over what I expect from AMC earnings, what I think the stock will do after earnings, and what the expectations are for AMC's numbers. So let's get into it. Hit that like button as well as subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. It's free 99. It costs you absolutely nothing to do. It's one of the few things in life that is still free. Now, first things first, this article from Zacks, Exploring Analyst Estimates for AMC Entertainment Q4 Earnings Beyond Revenue and EPS. It says, over the past 30 days, the consensus EPS estimate for the quarter has been adjusted downwards by 6.2% to its current level. So this means people have gotten a little bit more bearish on AMC's earnings numbers before the actual report. Analysts on Wall Street project that AMC Entertainment will announce quarterly loss of 65 cents per share in its forthcoming report, representing an increase of 53.6% year over year. Revenues are projected to reach $1.1 billion, increasing 10.5% from the same quarter last year. So revenue growth, 10%. Not terrible, definitely not terrible for the movie theater industry, and a loss per share that it has gotten a lot better. But we're not expecting AMC to be profitable like they have been for the past couple of quarters. That's mainly because you really didn't have any movies go to theaters that were notable that should have drawn some large crowds. So any surprise there could be good news, just because we are expecting some pretty rough numbers across the board. We're expecting some pretty bad numbers, let's just be honest. So if we do get good numbers, of course, could that affect AMC stock? Yes, but I'm not expecting it will. It says the collective assessment of analysis points to an estimated revenues, food and beverage of $369.98 million. The estimate indicates a change of 11.7% from the prior year quarter. The consensus among analysts is that revenues other theaters will reach $118.68 million. The estimate points to a change of 20.6% from the year ago quarter. Analyst assessment points towards revenue admissions reaching $606.68 million. The estimate points to a change of 8.1% from the year ago quarter. And when you're looking at year over year numbers, it's not they're not bad numbers, right? Year over year, things look pretty good. But the problem is we've been profitable the last couple of quarters. If you lose that profitability stance, it's not going to be fantastic for the stock. But Adam Aron did say recently that he will have, quote, much to say on the company's earnings call. And who commented on that? Pulte. He has 3.1 million followers on X. He just recently became an investor in AMC, and I do think there is reason to believe that we could get a important announcement. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me to hype up that you have much to say on the earnings call if you're just going to rant or ramble on or announce something small. I mean, that at this point is not going to move AMC. Let's just be honest there. It's not going to move AMC. We do potentially we could potentially get an upside surprise to, again, numbers. I'm not expecting that. You could also get some kind of upward surprise to guidance that could also be incrementally positive for AMC. AMC is trading alongside its fundamentals, so any good news there, I'm sure, would also be good news. But if you're looking for some large gains following earnings, potential for a short squeeze, AMC to get back to $9, $10+ per share, it's all going to depend on whether or not we get a commitment to not diluting shareholders. If Adam Aron comes out and says, yeah, guys, we're not going to dilute shareholders anymore, for a period of time, call it 6 months, probably 6 months like they did in 2022, then that is really the only lever they can pull, in my personal opinion, that would actually get the markets excited about AMC. To not have that dilution on our backs would really free up a couple things to happen. One, people to actually go in there and trade AMC in the short term. That would be a green light for traders to go in and buy AMC stock like we seen last time around. Last time we got a commitment to not dilute shareholders anymore for 6 months in 2022. AMC stock went up about 300%. Number two is, at that point, if you start to bring in some traders into AMC, the shorts might say, hey, the stock's really low. Last time this happened, the stock went up 300+%. We know at the bare minimum now, we're probably going to be down on our positions for the next 6 months or so, or at least they're not going to work for us like they have been. We should probably go out and cover on those short bets. I don't know if Adam Aaron is actually going to give us this kind of commitment like he did in 2022. But if he does, that is the thing that is going to move AMC stock. And I think at this point, if he does not give us that commitment, AMC will fall. Unless there is something really good that nobody was expecting, or something else that is, really good that nobody is expecting to hear from Adam Aaron, then, besides that, AMC stock's probably going to fall. So if we get the same old Adam Aaron just getting on AMC's conference call and ranting about writers actors strike and how they're trying to improve the business, whatever, this, that, blah, 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 same old. Long story short, the stock's gonna fall, right? I think at this point, you're almost expected to announce something big if you are Adam Aaron, just because of what he said on X a couple of days ago. And it would be a disappointment to markets if we don't hear anything that is substantial to the business. So my personal opinion has been for a while now, they're going to give us this commitment to not diluting shareholders. Now, it's not selfless, okay? They have to do that for a reason. They have to do that because they need to get AMC stock higher, because they have over $3 billion of debt that comes due in 2026. If they are unable to get AMC stock higher from $4 per share, AMC will probably not survive. And that is unfortunate. I mean, AMC is a pretty good buyout candidate as well, with a market cap of $1 billion. Of course, you have to assume the debt also, so it wouldn't be a $1 billion buyout. It would be substantially more than that, including the debt. But now AMC is even at a place where, hell, you could get bought out at these prices. Now, nobody obviously wants to see that happen, so Adam Aaron needs to get AMC stock higher. And if he cannot do that, that's a problem. In my opinion, the only way they can get AMC stock higher at this point, besides just somehow, discovering diamonds under their mines, or some kind of other situation that happens that is fundamentally accretive, they have to give you a commitment not to dilute shareholders. I've done some of this rough math before in other videos, but if they have to raise $3 billion of capital by 2026. Keep in mind, there's no way they're going to be able to even come close to that with just free cash flow from their operations. They made like $30 million of profits in like the last 9 months. It's been rough in that regard. Okay, so they're never going to be able to generate enough profits to actually pay off that debt. Now they can try to reconsolidate that debt, potentially, extend some of that debt out for longer, but they're still going to have a sizable bill due either way coming in 2026, and that's not that far from now, right? If you consider you're like 20% done with 2024 already, that's not a lot of time. Okay, so if AMC stays at $4 per share, and let's say for whatever reason Adam Aaron's like, hey, we want to issue all of the shares that we possibly can, about 300 million shares as of right now, that would net AMC about $1.2 billion. That's not good enough. It's definitely not good enough. And at that point, you're going to nuke this stock, and the stock's going to be a lot lower by the time you actually sell those shares. Let's say AMC stock's $30 per share, $25 per share, and they're like, hey, we want to sell all of our stock onto the markets. Well, the stock's going to fall a lot. I'm sure it would fall back to maybe like $10 per share, something like that. But even at $10 per share, and you were able to sell your 300 million shares, you would raise $3 billion. That would at least allow you to survive throughout 2026. Now, I don't think Adam Aron's going to nuke the stock right away. But, you know, if the stock could get to $20 per share and Adam Aron is like, hey, we're going to sell 50 million shares. I mean, that does a lot more. That's $1 billion, right? At, let's say $4 per share, and they sell 50 million shares worth, that's what? $200 million. So big differences here in the numbers. And when AMC has to issue a lot of stock and raise a lot of capital to survive by 2026, they need to get the stock up. Let's take a look at what's going on today with AMC stock. Volume, pretty strong, not as strong as what we have seen recently. You did have volume to the call side of 64.36%, volume to the put side of 35.64%. So decent numbers there. If we take a look at the short side of the Ortex data for AMC, I don't know why Ortex is going super slow. It's definitely an Ortex issue, not a me issue. So we'll have to come back and see what happens there. The sentiment barometers are bearish today at 42 for the sentiment. Yesterday, it was at 44, so a little bit more bearish today. Message volume is at 50. Yesterday, it was at 51. Both of these are categorized as normal. Participation ratio is also at 54, which is categorized as normal as well. So, yeah, you have decent numbers over here, but I do want to see the sentiment pick up, the message volume pick up even more. Participation ratio is what makes me most excited because that is pretty high. So that means more people are talking about AMC than they have for a quite a while here. So that's pretty good. You do have short interest percentage of free flow at 12.42%, $137.48 million worth of short positions. Days to cover 1.89, 31.1 million shares that are currently sold short. Shares out on loan 33.92 million. Cost to borrow 1.03%. Utilization of 51.91% and a short score of 64.68 out of 100. So some decent numbers over here as well. Nothing to really complain about. Stocko tracker data, if we refresh the page, you got about 7,600 calls expiring in the money today. 75,000 calls expiring out the money. So next week, which is the week of earnings, very low option activity. I'm expecting you're going to see a lot more option activity pick up once you start next week. And this week, you're probably going to see a lot of, or today, I should say, you're probably going to see a lot of these numbers here, these big numbers that I'm sharing expiring today. A lot of that's probably going to roll over to next week as well. But next week, you got about 4,000 calls currently in the money, 39,000 calls out the money, 6,400 puts in the money, and about 10,000 puts out the money. 20,000 puts are out the money right now, expiring today, and 12,000 puts are in the money expiring today. So a decent amount of option activity this week. I expect a lot of that again will move over to next week, and I'm surprised the numbers are so low right now considering what Adam Aron said and considering we are getting earnings next week, which is just a little bit different. Now, I did make a trade on AMC. I shared this in the last video. Keep in mind, if you trade this or something similar or trade options in general, you have to be prepared to lose all of your money in the worst case scenario. I always go into these trades as if I'm prepared to lose all of my money, right? I'm prepared for this trade to go to zero. I did buy AMC 550 calls. AMC stock's currently at $4.49 per share. These were out the money about 20% when I bought them. They're still roughly about 20% out the money as well. Current market value of $210. So it's not like I'm betting the farm on this. I think betting on Adam Aron either direction, especially to the upside, typically a fool's move. It's been much better to bet that Adam Aron will fail investors than to come through and cause AMC stock to rally. Keep that in mind. You've made a lot more money if you bet it on AMC to fail than to do well. I'm betting on AMC will do well after earnings, and historically that's usually not the best bet to make. So keep that in mind. But that's precisely why I'm making this bet. I do think premiums are really, really cheap because nobody's expecting AMC is going to do well. I don't think the general Wall Street consensus is that Adam Aron is going to give us a commitment to not diluting shareholders. So I think I'm betting on something that is probably not going to happen, but if it does happen, could pay out big time. And that's why I like these options. So I bought them for 20 cents a piece, $200. I bought 10 of them, and they expire by March 8th. So not next week, but the week after that. Gonna give myself a little bit of time. The logic here is if we get Adam Aron that does do what I think he could do and give us a commitment not to dilute shareholders, I think AMC stock, its next level would be that 100-day moving average at $6.78 per share. I think that would be a good level to reach, but I think you could rally a lot more than that. I think if shorts really start to cover on some of their short positions, if you start to get more traders heading into AMC, keep in mind this market environment is very inducive or indicative, allowing, I guess, for a stock to really run on the right catalyst, on the right news. And I think AMC could hit 8, 9, $10 per share over the next 2 weeks following earnings, 7 days or so following earnings, if that's what we get from Adam Aron. Now, the percentage gains at first would be large, let's say like 20%, 30%, and then from there, they're going to get smaller. But even from here, if AMC were to rally, let's say 40%, that's going to put the stock at about $6.35 per share roughly. And that would mean the options would be in the money almost $1. So this trade would be, a $1,000 trade, a 500% winning trade if AMC went up 35 to 40% or so. And I think you could see probably a 35% gainer and then a 20% gainer and then another 20% gainer. That's kind of the way I'm looking at this on a risk to reward potential. I think a small trade could go a long way for AMC if I am correct. There's no, guarantee that I will be correct. I'll probably be wrong. I will probably be wrong. But in the event I am correct, I think AMC could go through quite a rally. Again, 8, 9, 10 plus dollars per share. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Okay. And I've been wrong before, but I would not be surprised if this were to happen. But keep in mind, I think I'm going to be wrong. The probability assigned to me being correct is probably like 10%. If you wanted to put a statistical probability on that, just judging off of, Adam Aron should have already given us a commitment to not diluting shareholders, and it hasn't happened. Adam Aron typically fails investors and says the wrong things to get the stock to go higher. It's almost like he wants the stock to go lower. He just wants to raise capital, do his job, make sure AMC survives. But in actually doing that, oh shit, you scared me. In actually doing that, you have to get the stock higher, or it's just not going to happen. If we don't get what I expect, AMC stock is going to sell off in a dramatic fashion after earnings. So that is what you guys need to know here on the day today. Just a very volatile day with Nvidia and the push and pull relationship there. I think semiconductors may take a break around, the first week or two of March anyways. That could allow more money to go elsewhere and flow more freely throughout our markets also, because let's be honest, we've been so constrained due to essentially there's just no inflows. So the money has went from your smaller cap, mid cap stocks into your larger cap names. And once that does start to die down a little bit, start to get more breath into our markets, I think AMC will start to do better just based on that, let alone if we get a commitment not to dilute shareholders, that could start a larger term kind of rally. And that's essentially what I think as well. So let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day and your weekends, and I will see you in the next one.